Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest business chat with me, Glenys Chatterley, from Effective Business Network. And you all know by now, I'm hoping that we call it EBN. So today I've got with me the fabulous Lucy Long from WPA. She will explain what it is, but it's about medical sort of insurance-y, private healthcare-y things. There you go. That's my version of it. Hello, Lucy. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Glenys. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm really good. We've sorted out some technical issues we were having, and it seems to be so far so good. So let's see how we do today.
Excellent.
So tell me a little bit about how you got to where you are and a little bit about the company.
Well, basically, 13 years ago, I was happily married to my husband, and he came home one day from the doctors to tell me that he'd got a hernia and he was off work. So that was the first sort of major illness either of us have ever had. And when we went into investigation, I said, well, when can we get the operation? You know, because he was obviously in agony. And it was like we had to wait 6 weeks to see a specialist. So we didn't really see any option, and we waited the 6 weeks. And then after that, they said, yeah, you've got a really bad hernia, and the waiting list is 6 months.
Oh,
and I said, well, you know, he's off work. I mean, he works for Kent Police. Like, we need to get him seen tomorrow. He's in agony. We'd moved his bedroom downstairs into the living room, and they said, well, that's the NHS waiting list. And that was the end of it. And I didn't really understand things like that would happen. And what worried me was, what if it happened to me? So I then investigated private health insurance and found that actually, if I had the same happen to me, I would have got stuck with no income. So I literally did some investigation, and I fell in love with WPA. I thought it's the perfect product for me. And I was so pleased that I ended up making recommendations. And I sent so many people to headquarters that they actually phoned me up and said, would you like to come and work with us as a franchisee? And that was it. You know, suddenly I was in this business that I never thought I'd be in. But that's how it started.
Fantastic. And I know from talking to you that you're very passionate about what you're offering people. I think most people, when they think about private medical insurance, they think of things like going into hospital and surgery. But actually, I do know that you cover things like glasses and teeth and basically anything that you can pay for privately that are also available national healthy sort of.
Absolutely. A lot of people know about things like dental plans, where you can sign up with your dentist and they will, you know, cover you for a certain amount of that. And WPA produced that, both NHS and private, so that you can purchase that sort of thing, go and see the dentist of your choice, whether it's NHS or private, and there's a cap on what you'll be paid. So they do a lot of things like that, and then what they call an NHS top-up, which again pays for either NHS or private topping up of the services that might not be available quickly. So, you know, whether it's to see a GP remotely, whether it's to get some physio, but everything has a little cap. So there's various levels, and people just choose what best suits their budgets and needs, whether they be individuals or companies.
Right. And they can choose to pick and choose amongst so I might choose to go for dental, but not for medical. Is that an option, or are they have to take some? All right.
There's dental plans only. There's cash plans that cover a lot more things, but only cash back. And then there's proper medical plans. I mean, WPA have been going 116 years, not for profit. So they've been going a lot longer than most of the insurers, and they do like proper health insurance for either individuals or companies as well. And people just have a chat with me. We discuss what's the most appropriate for them and what suits their needs and their budget.
So if somebody was thinking about, I think I might need some private medical insurance, what would you say are, and you know me well, so you know I like the number 3. So what would you say are the top 3 sort of questions they should be asking themselves or asking you, but in order to choose?
Well, tip number one is, a lot of the policies just confuse and confound people. So it's really hard to compare like for like. So the reality is, for most people, is that if you claim, the premium goes up. On the individual policies, WPA don't do that. So in my particular circumstances, I'm going through breast cancer. The claims has been well over £200,000 that WPA have paid, but my premium costs no more than somebody my age in my postcode on the same plan, which is quite different from what happens elsewhere. So, WPA is quite different, and, it's just not a kind of like for like, because everybody tweaks things. And it's important that people to understand. So now that I've got cover, I can't go anywhere else and get cancer cover because the bills are so horrendous. Nobody else would take me on without a huge price hike. And I don't want to move anywhere else. And it's not as expensive as people think. And that's the key. I mean, we insure everything else. We insure our cars and we insure our houses, which are all replaceable. But our bodies, when something goes wrong, liver and heart transplants and kidney transplants, they're not exactly available that we just pop in and we come out with a brand new body. We need to look after what we've got. So some of the treatment is things like health screens where it's preventable. You get a little bit of money for that on plans, depending on the plan you're on. And it's just understanding. So, if somebody wanted to do a very simple cash plan for an individual at the bottom level, that could be something as low as £11 a month.
Right.
And on a company plan, it could be as low as £3 a month. But that depends on the size of the company. Today's the 24th of August. So obviously costs are relevant to today and could change overnight. So it's really important that this isn't set in stone.
No.
But when you talk to people, they're shocked because they're paying a lot more elsewhere, or they just think it's out of their price range. And so did I years ago. So did I. And I just love it. I love how.
Well, I think the thing is, one of the questions I always ask is, why do you do this rather than something else? But even if just talking to you for this short amount of time, and I've known you for a lot longer, but just this amount of time, it's obvious why you do this, because you're passionate about helping people, but you're also passionate about the products that are available. So I guess one of the bits of advice would be to find somebody like you who can help you to understand the differences and what you're actually getting long term. But you're right, when you were saying about the premiums haven't changed, if you make a claim on your household insurance, your premiums are probably going to go up the next time by quite a hike. So that's interesting to know. So and I also I wondered, you're a franchisee, so you get all the sort of backing, but you're responsible for what you do when you do it and all of that stuff. Is that how it works?
Absolutely, totally true.
Yeah.
It's my own business. And what's different about other health insurances is that with WPA, if you've got somebody like me assigned to your policy, I'm 24/7. And so, probably the worst out of hours thing that's happened is that somebody texted me at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night and said, "Lucy, I found a lump. What do I do?"
Oh, gosh.
Now, I saw the text, I was awake, and my first reaction was to text them back and say, "I'm wide awake, do you want to chat now?" Now, one of the reasons for doing that is because if somebody starts Googling, I'm in the position myself, I'm going through breast cancer treatment. I know how horrible it is. And, if you start Googling, lots of people who've got the successful treatment that I'm having, they don't post all the good news. The people that are posting are the people that, it's all doom and gloom because they're sad and they need some support.
Yeah.
So you don't often see the positives. And therefore, for me to talk to them at 11 o'clock at night, which I did do, I kind of reassured them that by Monday we would be able to get them an appointment to see the specialist and things like that.
Yes.
But also that it's not as bad as you think, and that we can get it checked out quickly and what they've got, etc. I mean, one of the ththings that when you look back, I never thought I'd be doing any kind of insurance, let alone health insurance. And the 30-year-old RAF sergeant that I was would never believe that I'm in the position I'm in now, and consulting on health insurance. It's just another planet. But I've had several different careers, and I've been doing this for 13 years, and I've loved everything I've done, but I think I love this the most. Yeah. Because like I say, 24/7, sometimes my clients ask me to go, they're going for an MRI, they've never been one before, they've got no family support. And I say, Luce, you wouldn't come with us, would you? Of course I will. If I've got the time and I can fit it in, 95% of the time I'm able to say yes, or get them somebody that would help them more. Yes. And especially during COVID. Yeah. It is quite a difficult time and people are frightened. But I can reassure them and handhold, and that's what I love the most.
And I suppose my question would be, so have you seen some sort of increase as people, because I was looking at, I didn't take too much note of the facts, but it was something around the waiting list is something like 4 million or something. Have you seen an increase in people taking private so that they can get things done quicker? People often do that anyway, but more people doing that.
Absolutely. I have twice the number of normally new inquiries, and I have twice the number of people buying policies. But also separate to when they buy an insurance policy, it's well known in the industry that there's an awful lot of people who are then paying for their own treatment. So going back to my husband, I would have had no idea that between the 6 weeks we had to see as a consultant on the NHS, I could have paid 250 quid and seen somebody tomorrow. Yeah. Which would have then put you 6 weeks ahead of the NHS queue, or paid 5 grand for surgery for hernia instantly, and then not had that 6-month wait. But I just didn't know. And that's the thing. A lot of people just don't understand what is and isn't available. So I'm happy to help people, even if they've not got health insurance and they get ill, because that's what we then call a pre-existing problem. So nobody's going to insure you for something you've already got, unless it's, a part of a big company or something. So it's always worth investigating that kind of thing. And that's a lot of what I do, is kind of help people to understand what they would and wouldn't be covered for. And,
Yeah, I think also, I think also it's about that people think, private medical insurance is not for people like me. It's for people who, or it costs a lot, as you said before, it costs a lot of money. And it's really about, if nothing else, people who are listening to this have got somebody here, who they can say, look, I'm thinking of this, what do you think? And that's, that's the easy part of it. Makes it easier for them to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what's really lovely and reassuring, especially at the moment, is that I get a lot of inquiries from companies, both big and small, who haven't got anything for their staff and don't really want to buy full-blown health insurance, but they quite like the idea of a 24/7 helpline, instant remote GP access, maybe a little bit of money for their glasses, because it's a mandatory requirement. If you have a computer or smartphone as part of your job, then your company has to pay towards your eye tests. So, and a lot of companies didn't even know that, but knowing they can get that for a very nominal amount every month, it's reassuring for them. And some of the companies, they'll let their staff upgrade to a higher level and pay the difference. Yeah. But obviously buying it at the company rate, which is often cheaper than the individual rate.
Individual rate. Perfect. That's great. I mean, you've been in business now 13 years as and you were self-employed before that, weren't you? When I first ever knew you. Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody who was thinking of starting a business? What do you wish you knew when you first started all those years ago?
I think what I might have done differently is that I had a role before, and a lot of my focus was still on that role when I first started. So rather than focusing on what I'm doing now, I was 100% committed to people, but I was trying to do it all. And I think if you're going to, especially if you're going to buy a franchise like WPA, which is fantastically supportive, you need to understand, you know, what you're doing, what you can do, what you can't do. You need to kind of be more, you need to be professional, and you can't be everything to everybody. So be true to yourself. You know, I tried so hard to do the right thing sometimes, but that's not necessarily, if it's not the right thing for you. I am who I am. I'm quite a strong-minded lady, and there's times when, you know, I've loved to have signed up somebody who just didn't like me, I suppose. But now, instead of fighting to get those clients, I just focus on the clients that love me. And I get probably 70–80% of my new business in from clients that do love me. And, you know, I try to take care of them. I hopefully get their birthdays and Christmas right. And last year was just amazing because WPA gave so much support to help people that were struggling financially, that I was able to put people on temporary policies to secure their underwriting until their budget came back in, which I know so many of them appreciated.
Yeah, I think also that thing about, it's almost not everybody's going to like everybody, and it's not personal. It's something we do. I mean, if you've read any of my blogs, there's always something about this, but it's that thing about subliminally we make assessments, judgments of other people, and it's not personal. It's the, you know, somebody might meet me and they met somebody like me 25 years ago, or was their headmistress or their teacher, or used to be in the shop, local shop, and they didn't like them for a reason. And I just make them think of them. So they don't like me, but it's not personal. And I think, like you said, deal with people who like you and you like them, and don't deal with the others, and don't fret about those. I mean, if you're not getting any of the business you are starting with, then you need to think about how you're dealing with it. But if you're getting a fair whack at it, then carry on doing what you're doing, because people like you more than they don't like you, and just get over yourself, really. It's not personal, it's business.
Absolutely. And what's lovely is, over the years, the people I haven't chased, quite often they're then chasing me, because some of their friends, you know, oh, you know, I know we didn't get on in the past, Luce, but actually my friends have told me how well you've looked after them. And that's what I want. I want that hand-holding, I want that support, and I realise that I'm going to get it from you. So we don't have to be best friends all the time, but we do have to, you know, be there for people 24/7. And there's so few health insurers that enable you to have people like me. And I just think a lot of people appreciate it. So whether it's Zoom calls with employees just to make sure they're understanding their benefits, they can make use of their plans, or answering the calls from individuals, you know, I like to think I'm there to help.
I think also that I should make it clear, I'm not there 24/7. But the other side of that is, when I had the catering company, it was more a case that I was, because people would ring up and say, like 9 o'clock in the morning, I used to have a regular, but not so regular I could guess it, a customer who used to ring up and say, did I order lunch for today? No, you didn't. So we got that organised so that she never had any choice. Whatever we were cooking for other food, that's what they were having. They didn't get a menu to choose from. And we worked in, so we had all the options. But now I'm just doing networking. Nobody rings me up and says, I've got to network now. You know, so, you know, 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, I'm probably in my gym jams with me cocoa. So because nobody ever does that now, which is for me a great plus. But it is that thing about being you and working within the parameters that you think are right for you. And yes, there are things you have to do legally, professionally, whatever that is, but also it's what's right for you, I said to somebody yesterday that one of the things I love about being self-employed is good, bad and indifferent, all the decisions are mine. And in my career for 25 years, I have done good, bad and indifferent decisions in all of that, and just taking the consequences of the pluses and the minuses and the learning opportunities, of course, because we always get them. So in your spare time, what do you like to do?
My husband and I are very keen collectors of Torquay pottery.
Oh.
So it comes from the Torquay area. There was 14 different potteries, and pretty much many of them are closed. But there are places like Poole Pottery people are aware of, but that's not what I collect. Some of it has little mottos on, and some of it is just art pottery, terracotta, painted, beautifully glazed. So that means we go to antique fairs. We've probably got something like 3,000 pieces of pottery in our collection.
Wow.
So I often say to my husband, our house is a bit like a mausoleum because we have lots of cabinets with pottery in. But, I'm a bit of a hoarder, so maybe that's kind of overflowing the two.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I love the mottos, so there's one that says something about friendship, so the good friends are silver, but the old are gold.
Yeah.
So I think business is like that. Some of my oldest clients, I try to make sure I look after because they are the gold. And the new ones coming in a silver, and hopefully we'll get them to gold. But it's no good just bringing somebody in and then just kind of putting them to one side and worrying about the new people.
Yeah.
It's all about, looking after people. And I can't always, speak to somebody at 11 o'clock at night, but I'll always go back and respond and try to help and WPA are phenomenal. As I say, they do help people like me very much. So they'll always try to find ways to, kind of help support you if needs be. I mean, when I got cancer, there was literally for the first year, I didn't tell anybody, even WPA headquarters, only my husband. And people were shocked when they found out. But, cancer is survivable in my instance. It's got an awful lot of treatment, but it's made me a lot more knowledgeable, So I think that's the nice thing is no matter where I am and who I'm talking to, I can sort of relate to people, whether it's been 10 hours hooked up to a chemo machine. It is time consuming, but you can still have, like I've done, I've continued my life. And now that we're going forward, with much more optimism for the future, and I'm telling people, they're like, really? You had cancer? What, you've not stopped work? You haven't had a holiday? You know, because I've loved what I do, and I've fitted it all in nicely, and I'm just so pleased, as is my husband, that I now have a really good prognosis for the future. It's just that I have to fit in maybe once a week some kind of treatment for another couple of years, but that just makes you appreciate the rest of the time. And life's too short. We need to look after ourselves, and that's something that I've changed. The old broadcast girl in London, ex-military, whatever, I never really looked after myself as well as I am now. And yet I'm doing even better. My business is growing even more. So, something's going right, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think you just have to go, right, this is a good day. I mean, whether it's health or business, I think it's the same thing. You have to look after yourself. If you're, for me, the flexibility around being self-employed is fantastic because I can do a lot of stuff in the morning and then do something else in the afternoon. I choose that I get up at silly o'clock to do what I need to do so I can do something different in the afternoon or the other way around. But I think, I'm with you, but you're right. You need to spend some time looking after yourself. And I think that if you don't, I always say to people, if you're the middle of the other spider in the middle of the web and everything depends on you and you fall over, then everything is going to fall over. So you need to make sure you're well in the middle. You're okay, you're looked after, and spend some time. And also, I'm of an age now. I used to be young and thrusting, but that ain't happening now. I'm more, oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm good with that. So yeah. So thank you for your time. This has been really interesting. And I do know, by the way, that Lucy's not in her own office at the moment. So otherwise, I would have asked her to show me a bit of a pottery. But if she ever does this again, I'm hoping she brings one with her. Or I'll see you at one of the EBN networking events. So that's good. You can have one in your top pocket or back pocket or handbag or however big it is, or truck as it is being brought in. So for now, thank you very much. For everybody who's watching, then I'll just go through, just so you don't have to think, what should I do now? Well, you can obviously contact Lucy and talk to her about whatever your requirements are. But also, can you watch this to the end? Because otherwise it messes about with the algorithms. Can you subscribe, comment, like, tell your friends, and all that technical stuff. And if all that fails, come back next week and let's see what we're talking about then. So this has been me, Glenys Chatterley, and Lucy Long from EBN. Thank you for your time. Next week, we've got another business chat. I love the fact that I've no idea at the moment what it's going to be. Have fun, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye.